which I understand in a way is important for today. Today in South Africa, people also walk together to Nelson Mandela, and among the people who were invited from all over the world to walk this walk together today was a representative of Frontline Defenders, because they are part of 100 organizations worldwide who have been named as Sparks of Hope, yes, by the elders, and the elders is a committee of former world leaders who have been created by Nelson Mandela. And we'll hear the message of one of them soon, and one of them is Mary Robinson, who knew that we are going to walk together tonight and send us a message. So now I will invite you to start to be together, to start this walk, and we discussed it with our friend here. So you want to explain the idea of the start of the walk?
Yeah.
So we will move a little bit behind the statues, and we'll start the walk from there. If you don't have a poster, we still have a few. Now, I will ask, before we start the march, I will ask Pauline Conway, who is part of the board of Mission Kara, to read us the message we received yesterday from Mary Robinson. So again, Mary Robinson, I don't need to present her, but for many years she's part of this group of people called the Elders, and they have been created by Nelson Mandela, and currently they run a major campaign called Walk Together to Freedom, continue the long walk to freedom of Nelson Mandela, and want to improve the situation regarding inequalities, regarding health, many other issues. So I invite Pauline to come here to read you the message she sent us.
Thank you, Pierre. Remarks by Mary Robinson, Wednesday, 18 July 2018. I am delighted to send warm greetings today, 18 July 2018, from Johannesburg to those in Dublin who are also marching to honour Nelson Mandela's 100th birthday. It was a huge honour 10 years ago to be chosen by him to be one of his elders, an independent group of global leaders working on peace, human rights and sustainable development. It is good that you're starting your march from the Famine Memorial on Custom House Quay in Dublin's Docklands. Our strong memory of An Gorta Mhór, the Great Famine, and our struggles for freedom give Irish people a strong empathy for developing countries and communities. This was the focus of Nelson Mandela, who constantly called on rich countries to poor countries and the world to show solidarity towards those who are marginalised and vulnerable. The Walking Together campaign, which the elders and many others have joined in for the last year, has shone a light on many communities that live by Madiba's values and identified 100 sparks of hope to provide ideas for a better world. To quote, "No matter the action, you help to change the world for the better of all. Lend a helping hand today to the less fortunate in society and start making that change." Thank you.
Thank you, Pauline. So now we'll start the march, and then the idea is that we'll stop from the famine statues to the human rights and poverty stone. You have quotes on banners, and we'll stop, and I would invite one of you to read one quote, and then we'll walk a little bit further and we'll read the other quote, and there will be some music with us, I hope. And the music is not about Nelson Mandela, but it's the song so many of you may have known. It's called Biko by Peter Gabriel, and it's another name of an African activist who unfortunately died under torture in South Africa during the time of apartheid. So the first bit from here to the first quote would be in silence, and then after we'll have the music and we'll read the quotes, and the last part of the long walk to freedom will be around the human rights and poverty stone. So I think I'll invite you. So I will have my friend who is going to help me to carry the microphone, not the microphone, the loudspeaker. So let's start the walk in silence. So I invite you to stop, and we will read the first two quotes. And I'm still, you don't manage to have any music, yes? Sorry. So we'll continue probably in silence. So who wants to read the first quote? Yeah? Thank you.
We do not want freedom without bread, nor do we want bread without freedom. We must provide for all the fundamental rights and freedoms associated with a democratic society.
Thank you. Joe, would you like to come and read the second one?
Let's recommit to work towards our common goal, a nation where all of us are winners. All of us have shelter, food, and education.
Thank you. So I invite you to carry on the walk, and we'll stop in the middle of the two other banners. would you like to come and read one of the sentences? Yes. Yeah? You can also tell why you decided to join us.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to be asked to say these few words. I'm from South Africa. I've lived here since 1970 and I joined the original anti-apartheid marches. So this means a lot that everybody stand up and to pass on the message. Thank you.
So would you be ready to read this sentence? Yes?
We slaughter one another in our words and attitudes. We slaughter one another in the stereotypes and mistrust that linger in our heads, and the words of hate we spew from our lips.
Said by Madiba, said our friend. Okay, thank you so much. And I don't know, maybe it's a teacher we should ask to come and read this quote. Yeah? Maybe there are other teachers here. No? So Maurice, you can explain also who you are. I didn't name your organization, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Pierre. No, I suppose I can't refuse. This poster, I think it's in nearly every school in the country. It's everywhere now. It's really gaining recognition worldwide. Everybody's saying education is extremely important. And what they mean by education, I'm not really sure, because it means different things to different people. It's more than just 2 and 2 makes 4. It's about thinking, and it's about critical thinking, and it's about understanding and using your brain as well as your heart and your mind. Anyway, the quotation is, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Nelson Mandela. And we all want to do that sometime in our life. Thank you.
So this was Maurice, and I'm sorry I forgot when I named the members of the Irish Committee for the UN End Poverty Day, I forgot to name the network of the Global Citizenship School, and Maurice is one of the volunteers who makes this network work. So now let's walk for another stop with 2 banners to read. We have friends from abroad, other friends from abroad. It happens that this week are with us in Dublin 2 members of ATD International, Alvaro and Marina, and they are here to improve their English. So I don't want to make it a way to test where they are at, but would one of you agree to come and read this sentence? Yeah, and maybe if you want, you can also say something about what Mandela was for you. We heard Maurice speaking about school.
Good evening. So, for me, Mandela, it's I don't know exactly what to say, but it's a person who shows us that it's possible to change the things, even if every society, everything is against you. I don't know. It's a person who gave us hope. So the sentence, in this new century, millions of people remain imprisoned, enslaved, and in chains. They are trapped in the prison of poverty. It is time to set them free.
Thank you, Alvaro. Thank you, Alvaro. And Like another quote which makes it us close to the end poverty stone. Maybe I'll ask you to come and read it. You is part of the board of ATD, but he is known for many people in Europe as a specialist on social policy issue and on poverty, social exclusion, and for some other Irish people as the first director of the Combat Poverty Agency. And if you want to say something about what Mandela meant for you, you're most welcome to.
Thank you very much. Well, for me, Mandela was an inspiration that showed that poverty is a challenge all around the world, and there is solidarity all around the world to tackle it. So even if you're working on the ground in Ireland, you know you're part of a wider movement. So I think that's why he was an inspiration for us. Poverty is not natural, it's man-made, and it can be overcome and eradicated.
Thank you, you. So we are almost at the end of our long walk to freedom. So I invite you to come around the stone, and I will ask somebody who has a history with this stone to read the last sentence. I didn't ask her before, but I hope she agrees. So let's just come and make a circle around the stone. So again, I hope I won't say something wrong, but Emer Costello was Lord Mayor when there was the agreement to unveil this end poverty stone, and this is 10 years or 11 years ago. And thanks to her support, and of course to many other activists, this stone was unveiled on the 17th October 2008. So I just say there will be a special event on this day, 17 October 2018, because it will be the 10th anniversary of the unveiling of the stone. But now, Emer, maybe you can tell us also what Mandela meant for you, and then read the last quote of the journey.
Thank you, Pierre, and thank you for the honour of reading the last sentence and last phrase. For me, Mandela was, as other people have said, he was an inspiration, and he was the epitome of equality, and he showed a path forward to equality for all. And I was honoured back in 1994 to observe the elections in South Africa and feel the emotion of the first free and fair elections in South Africa. And I'm very honoured to be associated with the stone. It was a motion that I put down to Dublin City Council long before I was Lord Mayor in 2006, when I came to one of the first ADT events, and I was so inspired by hearing what the stone had achieved in other countries and the fact that other countries had their stone, and I thought Dublin needs to have a stone like this to remind us that there's poverty here in Dublin and that we all have a duty to address it. And I am so glad that at the time we had Dublin Docklands, and I got the support from Dublin City Council, but I got the money from Dublin Docklands to make this stone a reality. And I think it's great to see that people still congregate here and that it means so much to the citizens of Dublin. So our last phrase: for to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. Nelson Mandela.
Thank you, Emer. So now we'll invite you to sing together. I invite Keith and Elaine to come here. And we have here a few of lyrics of the song. So before you start to sing with us, you can also say something about Mandela. No? You discover him? Okay. Anyway, yeah, there are many songs which also supported his time in prison and his liberation. But this song is about also being free. So it is the title. I let Elaine now explain everything.
Yeah, it's to be free, and I think Nina Simone wrote it. That's who I associate with it anyhow. So if anybody can sing and wants to sing the song, please gather right here, over here. I wish I knew how it would feel to be free. I wish I could break all the chains holding me. I wish I could say all the things I should say. Say 'em loud, say 'em clear, for the whole round world to hear. I wish I could share all the love that's in my heart. Remove all the bars that keep us apart. I wish you could know how it feels to be me. Then you see and agree every man should be free. I wish I could live like I'm longing to live. I wish I could give all I'm longing to give. I wish I could do all the things I should do, though I'm way overdue. I'd be starting anew. I wish I could be like a bird in the sky. How sweet it would be to find I could fly. I'd soar to the sun and look down on the sea, and you see and agree that every man should be free. Yes, you'd see and agree every man should be free.
Thank you so much, Keith and Elaine. So before we hear a last extract of a speech, I just want to say that we were here all afternoon, and we invited people who were passing by to tell us what Mandela meant for them. And the idea was to invite them to write it on hands, because I don't know if you see, but some of you have the poster where you have the quote. I don't know it by heart, so it's the quote which is here. It is in your hand to create a better world for all who live in it. So we know it's our hands, and we know that there are big challenges ahead of us and already there. But again, as Alvaro and others said it, what Mandela achieved gives us hope, even if you think it's not possible. So again, before we finish the ceremony with this last extract and speech, and I explain, I would like to ask if anyone want to say here again, we ask it a little bit to some people, what Mandela mean to him or her. I'm most welcome to give you the microphone and to invite you to come here. don't they? Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, thank you.
Hi. So my name is Leila. I'm from Frontline Defenders. And Nelson Mandela meant a lot to me because basically one of my wishes was to meet him, which will never happen. But his fight for freedom is very dear to us, especially those of us from African countries, because we see the injustice we face every day, and we realize that it's just one person who needs to take a step forward. So what if all of us just go together? What will happen? So I believe in unity, equality, and activism. That is what he represents to me.
Thank you so much. Good evening. My name is Farai Chair. I live here in Ireland, but I come from Zimbabwe. And I'm one person who is extraordinarily inspired by Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela is the icon of Africa, and I think we all know that. And I would want to thank those people who had actually made this initiative to actually gather on Mandela's birthday and honor him in Dublin. And I'm sure it's unfortunate that I actually got this information a little bit late. I would have actually maybe invited our friends from Zimbabwe and our friends from Africa. Thank you so much. I really thank you so much for actually having this initiative. Emma Costello, if it was a vote, you have my vote. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, my name is Okachuku Okorie, editor Africa World News. I was drawn to this. I saw the announcement online, so I said, in as much as we cannot be everywhere, let me come and cover this program. Nelson Mandela, like everyone knows, is an icon, a global icon, but the most important thing, it's a man of tolerance. And that is the most important gift or character we get from him, because the world, at the end of everything, we need to tolerate one another, and we need to accommodate. In as much as we may say we face a lot of things coming from Africa, we still have shortcomings on our own. But Nelson Mandela, as a man and as a leader, showed character that you need to tolerate, that to some extent you don't have to go to the extreme. And on the other hand, we equally extend this message to those that imprisoned him. There's need for accommodation. There's need to eradicate poverty. If we say eradication of poverty, we must find a common ground, because some of the issues that he fought for before he died still linger today. So we must find a way to accommodate and tolerate. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Another? So maybe I will invite Gary, maybe also to say a few personal words before he's going to read. So today in many places there are events. We spoke about the walk in South Africa, and at the Human Rights Council in Geneva at the United Nations, there is also an event, and it happens that a woman who is volunteering for All Together in Dignity, Janet Nelson, who worked a long time for UNICEF, has been asked on behalf of ATD to address the event at the United Nations. So I asked Gary to not to read us all the speech of Janet, but some extracts. But before that, Gary, maybe you want to say a few words also, no?
Thank you. I think Nelson Mandela was Irish. I think that everybody knows that, really. But I can't help, when I think of Nelson Mandela, I think of Irish people, and particularly the Dunstores workers, and their action and taking risks. And it was the very thing that he was calling us to do as a community, as a society, as people, to stand up and take risks and be the generation, be the people of your generation that will be remembered. And I think that's piece. It's what Janet Nelson finishes with. And today I'm thinking of those workers who had very little and yet risked it all, risked their jobs, risked what they were doing to strike. And that just, to me, was so inspirational, and everything that was happening in South Africa had inspired that, and so that's what I think of. This is part of Janet Nelson's speech. She's the Vice President of ATD, and it was given today at the Nelson Mandela International Day in Geneva. First of all, I want to express my gratitude for having been invited to participate in this commemoration. For I personally, as well as my organization, continue to be inspired by Nelson Mandela's example. He was a man of extraordinary qualities: integrity, courage, humility, and unfailing dedication to the principles of freedom and social justice, as well as to the reconciliation through genuine dialogue. We saw throughout his life the qualities that made him a peacemaker, a person who was able to take a nation torn by oppression and violence and hatred and put it on a path to peace, on a path to building a nation in which every person could find his or her place in dignity. To quote his book, "No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin or his background or his religion. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite." On this centenary of his birthday, then, what are the implications of his legacy? We are convinced that the Sustainable Development Goals, elaborated through a lengthy process of negotiation, reflect many of his values: just, peaceful, and inclusive societies that are built through partnerships based on a shared vision and shared goals that place people and the planet at the center. But are we truly committed to those goals? Committed enough to take the bold actions they will require? In London's Trafalgar Square in February 2005, before a crowd of hundreds of thousands of people gathered for the Making Poverty History rally, Nelson Mandela stated, "Massive poverty and obscene inequality are such terrible scourges of our times that they have to rank alongside slavery and apartheid as social evils. Like slavery and apartheid, poverty is not natural. It is man-made, and it can be overcome and eradicated by the actions of human beings. And overcoming poverty is not a gesture of charity. It is an act of justice. It is the protection of a fundamental human right, the right to dignity and a decent life." Mandela would have understood a member of ATD Fourth World when she said, "The worst thing about living in extreme poverty is the contempt that they treat you like you are worthless. We and our children experience this every day, and it hurts us, humiliates us, and makes us live in fear and shame. Meeting the goals we have set ourselves is possible if we work together, governments, civil society, the private sector, and those who are directly affected by poverty and inequality, to find solutions to the tremendous challenges we face today. This task will require a courage and moral fortitude equal to that demonstrated by Nelson Mandela. On that day in Trafalgar Square, he said, "Do not look the other way. Do not hesitate. Act with courage and vision." And he ended by saying, "Sometimes it falls upon a generation to be great. You can be that great generation. Let your greatness blossom. Then we can all stand with our heads held high."
So just before we stop, I just asked Elaine, she didn't say yes, but just to invite you to sing it again. Let's be free together, let's try to be free. And now that you have heard it, maybe one time, for some people may have discovered this song, let's sing it together again.
You all know it now.
Well, I think the first, how you say, verse is not the same on your paper, but yeah, but the rest is okay.
I wish I knew how it would feel to be free. I wish I could break all the chains holding me. I wish I could say all the things that I should say. Say 'em loud, say 'em clear, for the whole round world to hear. I wish I could share all the love that's in my heart. Remove all the bars that keep us apart. I wish you could know how it feels to be me. Then you'd see and agree that every man should be free. I wish I could live like I'm longing to live. I wish I could give all I'm longing to give. I wish I could do all the things that I should do, though I'm way overdue. I'd be starting anew. I wish I could be like a bird up in the sky. How sweet it would be if I found I could fly. I'd soar to the sun and look down on the sea, and you'd see and agree. Yes, you'd see and agree that every man should be free. Say so.
Thank you everybody for this moment together, and again we'll hope this year we'll continue to be inspired by Nelson Mandela. A few months ago we also tried to make sure we don't forget the legacy of Martin Luther King, who also this year we had the 50th anniversary of his assassination, and again we know he was killed at the very time he was preparing a very strong poor people's campaign. And February was the 30th anniversary of the passing of Brzezinski, whose message is written on the stone. And then by the end of the year we have the 17 years of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So we really feel we are in a year where the end poverty legacy of these strong people could inspire us to really make a difference. And we have also tools, as Janet in her speech noticed, there is this 2030 agenda. There are commitments to end poverty by 2030 in all its forms. So yeah, I'm just with it in my heart, because I was yesterday in New York and it was discussed about the goal, and today, now, maybe in a few hours, there will be a ministerial declaration who is ending a summit about the Sustainable Development Goal. And we really think, at least a lot of people in the NGOs, that this transformative agenda should inspire us, and if we have the courage of Mandela, we'll make it happen to end poverty by 2030. Thank you. So there is a bit of an exhibition which is traveling in the North Inner City here, which is telling the story of the stone. And if you want to see what Mandela meant to the people who came across our workshop here, you can go and look at them at the ends together. Thank you again. Thank you so much.